Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Come on in. Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you for joining me tonight. Welcome to Real Talk with Cindy. As you're coming on, please let me know what city and state you're from. Please let me know what city and state that you're from. Good evening, everyone. And please share this. Please share on tonight. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. For this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. My guests are here tonight, so please come on in, please share, put your likes and hearts, and we're going to get started in a few moments. Good evening. Come on in, come on in. Good evening, Kamani. Welcome. Welcome. Please let me know the city and state where you're from. Okay, we're going to get started. Well, before I bring on my first guest, I'd like to let you know that to please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Cindy R. Barber. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. God bless you, Linwood Heath. I'm so glad to see you on tonight. Blessings to you. Thank you for coming. And please let me know the city and state where you're from, and I would really, really appreciate it on tonight. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And also, if you'd like to sow into this ministry, I'm going to put the information on the screen. But please feel free to sow, and thank many of you that have sown into this ministry as well. God has been blessing. I have a Cash App, and it's on the screen if you would like to sow. And right now, I'm going to bring on my first guest from Philadelphia, and many of you I'm sure may know him. Good evening, Henry.
Hi, Cindy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Listen, the Creator saw fit to wake me up this morning.
That's
I'm all
right.
right.
That's right. That's right. Amen. And it's good to have you on tonight. And you are a trumpeter to your heart. You play very well. You have played on my single that I had, "Don't Give Up,"
Yes,
and I had so many requests. People asking me, "Who did those horns? Who did the horns?" I shared the information with them, but I
we
want
had a
to.
good time. We had a
Yes,
good
we
time
really
with that.
did.
Yes, we
We
did.
did. Yes, we did. So I want you to explain and talk tonight about your journey with music and your business as to what you're doing. How old were you when you began playing the trumpet or had the love for the trumpet?
Third grade.
Wow, third grade.
Third grade. Yeah. I I wanted to be a drummer in all honesty, but they already had drums figured out. It was a choice between drums, flute, and trumpet.
Mhm.
Flute in the third grade for a man was not an option in the 70s in my brain.
Yeah.
And the drums were out because there were already too many drummers. So I got
Hmm.
stuck with the trumpet, and it wound up working out well for me. It wound up
Yes,
working
it
out well.
really did. So, how many years would you say? What year did you get started, or how many years
What year did I get started playing? Period, or when did the professional journey start?
when you got started? Period, and then we move into the professional.
Yeah, third grade. I guess I would have been probably somewhere around 8.5, 9 years old.
Really?
Philadelphia public school system, born and bred.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I learned from great teachers.
Right.
Uh, I went to Francis D. Pastorius in East Germantown for elementary school, Ada Lewis for junior high, which
Okay.
they switched to middle school,
Mm-hmm.
and then Germantown High School.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. In Philadelphia. So when you moved
Yes.
into what year? When did you start knowing that you wanted to play professional, or how did you get started with playing professionally?
There was a youth jazz band. There used to be a business on Stenton Avenue in Philadelphia named the Stenton Diner, and the owner of that
Yeah.
diner was a sponsor of a youth orchestra that I played with.
Wow.
And we would rehearse in the basement of this diner once
Mm-hmm.
a week. And there used to be a boat called the Showboat
Mm-hmm.
down at the Naval Yard, and they hired us to play a function there. And my band director came to my house the next day with a $50 bill at 13.
Wow.
That was it.
Yeah.
Because the correlation between me playing the trumpet and money didn't happen until that moment. I said, wait a minute,
Mm-hmm.
I can do that and get this. That
Wow.
pretty much was a wrap at that point at 13.
Right. Wow. Absolutely. How did your
Yes.
parents feel about that?
My parents definitely supported me. They didn't expect me to stick with it. So
Okay.
I started out using a rented school district horn.
Okay.
And once they realized that I was serious about it, they
Mm-hmm.
brought me my own instrument, I guess, sixth grade. So
Okay.
I had my own horn by sixth grade.
Mm-hmm.
And, the rest, as they say, is history.
It's history. Yes.
Yeah.
And so when you started playing professionally, who was the first group or that you started playing with?
I took an audition at 15 with the Stylistics, and that's where my journey started.
Okay.
With the Stylistics in 1980, 1981,
Wow.
uh, and toured with them for a bunch of
Really?
years, from 15 to, well, off and on. I mean, literally, the lead singer, Russell Tompkins, I played with them at the Dell last year. So, I mean,
Hmm.
that relationship is still going
Wow.
on
All these
to
years.
this day.
Yeah.
From 15. But I went from there at 17. I started playing with Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, and
Wow.
just that whole Philly sound scenario, Delphonics, Intruders.
Mm-hmm.
Then went on to New York-based groups, Manhattan's,
Mm-hmm.
Ray Goodman and Brown, blah 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 blah.
And the list goes on. Wow. Well, what was that like being on the road like that? You were on the road traveling quite a bit.
you know, it was wonderful
Mm-hmm.
because I was still living at home with my mother. I didn't have any responsibilities. I wasn't a father. I wasn't married yet. So,
Right.
I was basically living the life of Raleigh. You
Mm-hmm.
get a plane ticket FedEx to you. There was no email back then, so everything
Right.
was mailed to you,
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like literally I would leave uh school on
Mm-hmm.
Friday, go home, pack my bags,
Mm-hmm.
you know, go meet the tour bus or ride to the airport to get on the
Right.
plane and get
Wow.
back in time enough for me to be able to go back to school on Monday morning.
Wow.
And that basically was what my life was,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you
And
enjoyed that.
it was and I mean not to mention the other acts that I got to see, the Dells, Tyrone Davis, Bobby Blue
Hmm.
Bland, Gladys Knight and the Pips, you know what I mean? And I mean,
Yes.
especially, in my tenure of being with Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, because the Blue Notes were one of those groups that crossed both sides of the fence.
Hmm.
The pop end, you know,
Right.
and the R&B end.
Hmm.
So we would do dates with Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons and
Hmm.
Little Anthony and the Imperials. I mean, doo-wop groups from the 50s and 60s, and then
Hmm.
70s groups, the Dramatics and Enchantment, and uh, I mean, listen,
A lot
those
of people.
times were fabulous because that
Yeah.
music is timeless. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
music is powerful. I saw on Facebook or in an article where you were playing with it was Jeff Bradshaw, and he was a
Ha
visionary
ha
with
ha!
hundreds of
Yes,
players that you did. It
Jeff,
was a rally,
man.
and so talk to us. How did that get started? And I saw your interview.
Jeff has always been a person who was about doing things that are unorthodox. You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Trying to make a way out of no way, trying to go and
Mm-hmm.
find the silver lining in a chaotic situation. And
Mm-hmm.
his thing was that he wanted to go and just put out a call of
Mm-hmm.
horn players of all nationalities, race,
Mm-hmm.
creeds, colors,
Wow.
young, old,
Mm-hmm.
short, fat, tall,
Mm-hmm.
and no matter where your playing level was, beginner, whatever, he just wanted everybody to congregate in one spot
Mm-hmm.
and for us just to play. There was no rehearsal, there was no conversation about what we were
Yeah.
going to play,
Mm-hmm.
and literally, the magic of music. The tuba started playing a bass line, and if it was
Mm-hmm.
something that was popular, fine. If there were things that we did that happened right on the spot, and phew,
Right.
that was one magical afternoon, man. It really
Yeah.
was because
That was
it
phenomenal.
started out with probably about 40 horn players. At the end, by the time it was over, there might have been well over, 100 some odd horn players out there,
Wow.
drummers.
Wow. That's a lot. So
Yeah,
tell us, what are you doing now with? Because I know you have a group. So tell us, talk a
yeah.
little bit about
My
that.
living pretty much has been in the private party corporate event space
Mm-hmm.
for the last several decades. I wanted to put myself in a position that I would be able to go and provide for my family doing music, and I wanted to be able to control the narrative.
Right.
So I got in the high end wedding and corporate party industry. Let's see, I guess about 26, 27 years ago. And
Wow.
back when outside of church and gospel, people of African American descent are really not thinking about hiring a band for their function. For the most
Right.
part, what they're going to hire is a DJ.
Right.
So
Yeah.
but being honest with you, people of the lighter hue,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
the first thing that they do after they get an a venue
Mm-hmm.
is they're hiring live entertainment. And
Live. Yeah.
I got into that arena right when a shift was getting ready to begin, where the crux of what they wanted was R&B music,
Mm-hmm.
and and that is at the core of who I am.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So basically, I have been doing anywhere from 60 to 80
Mm-hmm.
high-end weddings or private parties a
Wow.
year, outdoor
Mm-hmm.
music festivals, so forth and so on. Name of
Mm-hmm.
the band is called UGO.
Mm-hmm.
Stands for the Urban Guerrilla Orchestra, and I mean it's a large unit. The core of the band is 11 pieces, three
Wow.
vocalists, three-piece
Mm-hmm.
horn section, and five-piece rhythm. And been out here for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Playing, authentic, organic soul music and jazz, and
Mm-hmm.
things have been well. But it's funny. uh, Things have been silent for several months.
Yes. Yes.
I had roughly 60 some odd dates on the calendar that were booked
Yeah.
and contracted.
Yeah.
And from last time that I played anywhere in front of anybody would have been March 14th of this year.
Yeah. Right.
And outside of that thing that I did with Jeff Bradshaw and church every Sunday, because I'm at Greater Exodus in Broughton Fairmount,
Mm-hmm.
that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean
Yeah.
that has been it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had conversations with friends of mine that are working with Earth, Wind, and Fire and Bruno Mars with Live Nation, and I mean, like, the word on the street very quietly is that uh, 2021 may be a wash.
Yeah.
We may realistically be looking at 2022 before you're going to be able to walk inside of the Met or
Right.
walk inside of
Yeah.
the Academy of Music or
Yeah.
walk, go into a park and
Right.
set up a picnic chair. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, we do the Soul Train cruise
Mm-hmm.
every January. This year would have been our fifth year doing it.
Mm-hmm.
We're the house band and play behind several groups, and I'm the musical director on the ship. And literally 2 months ago, we canceled two cruises that transpired within 21 days of each other that both were completely sold out.
Yeah.
And we literally canceled them to
Mm-hmm.
2021.
Yeah.
And with the creator's blessing, we'll
Right.
be able to do that. I mean, we moved all of those artists. There were literally 25 to 30 artists
Right.
that were booked to perform on each cruise. And
Right.
we literally moved everybody from January of 2021 to January of 2022.
Yeah. And that's what's going on, with a lot of artists. And, I had a guest on Monday night, Stephen Ford, and he was giving some um, suggestions for musicians as to, still work. You can
Hmm.
be creative at home, learn to play a
Yes.
different instrument, learn to read music. It's a number of things that we can still do, outside of what God has called us to do in our instruments, since we can't go anywhere. So I think
Hmm.
it's good to be able to encourage others to do things like that. We keep losing him. I think it's his internet. I think it's his internet. So, let me see here. He's back. Henry, we can't hear you. No, can't hear you. Henry, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you off so you can get with that. And then, so right now I'm going to bring Bill Jolly on. Hey, Bill.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
All right, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Henry is having some problems. I know he said he was having some problems with his iPad. And with technology the way it is, all of us at one time or another have some problems, with connection issues, you know.
It's what it is,
It is.
stuff.
It is.
It's your friend when it's good, and when it goes bad, it goes bad.
It goes bad. But I am so delighted to have you with me on tonight. And I was sharing with you that you have so much under your belt that I just want to tap into some of it tonight. I know we can't tell it all tonight because it's just that broad a range. But I wanted to, because you're a 3-time Emmy award-winning producer and arranger. And I said, thank you. I didn't know, I wasn't aware of that. So wow, that is really some achievement. How did you get started with music? What was your first love, your instrument? How did you get started?
Well, it's a pretty interesting story. As a kid, I loved the music of James Brown. So I heard Cold Sweat. And I used to bang on the desk in school to this Cold Sweat beat. I just loved it. So I asked my parents to buy me a drum set and buy me a James Brown album of Cold Sweat, the long version of Cold Sweat. And I used to play to that thing on my drums over and over and over again. And so I started out as a drummer. then we had a band a little later, and we had a really good keyboard player in the band, and the keyboard player left the band. And every piano player I asked to join the band said no, said you guys can't play and you're not going to make it. And one day I got frustrated. I said, I'm going to teach myself how to play. And that's really how I got started.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So take us through your journey as far as after that, what did you do? Or which way did you go?
Well, I started teaching myself how to play piano really in high school. Okay. And so I had a band in high school, and we used to play for all of the shows that we had at Overbrook High School. I went to Overbrook High School. Okay. And so I went to them and said, listen, I want to be the music director for all of the shows. As soon as I got there as a freshman, I said I wanted to do that. They said, okay, great. So, that's really how I really got started into music directing, and how I got started putting, my own really first band as a leader together. And the funny thing about it is really everything that I do now is really, it's the same thing I did in high school at Overbrook. It's just with bigger names, but it's the same thing.
Yeah. Wow, absolutely. Yeah. And so from there, how did you get started with, your production company? And from there, I know you've been with a lot of major artists. So what did you do basically after that point?
Well, here's the thing. Every major accomplishment that I've been able to make as far as getting to the bigger artists was from one particular gig. And it was a gig where there were about maybe 20 people in the audience.
Wow.
And it was a little club, and I think I was making maybe $20 or $25 a night.
Really?
And there was a guy named Norman Connors who was in the audience. And, he had his biggest song was a song called "You Are My Starship." So I went out on tour with him, my brother, and Johnny Kroom, my drummer. And we went out on tour with Norman. And one thing, I was with Norman for a couple of years, and then I met Gene Carn with Norman, and then from Gene Carn, I met Grover Washington Jr., and that really opened up my world. Once I met Grover, everything went exponentially higher from meeting Grover, because everybody loved and respected him. So that really is. But all of that started from one gig, really, with about 20 people in the audience.
Really? Wow. Yeah. And you've been music producer and director for quite a few years. Name some of the artists that you have been music producer for.
Oh, wow. Well, I've worked with a lot of different artists. Well, I was the music director for I'm the music director for the Marian Anderson Awards for the past 7 years, which is interesting because initially when I saw the Marian Anderson Awards, I said, man, I wish one day I could be the music director for this show. And and lo and behold, years later, I got a call, said, would you like to take over for the Philadelphia Orchestra as the music director for the Marian Anderson Awards? I said, absolutely. So that's really how I kind of got started in that. And that was really, really interesting because every year, the artists that I have to do tributes for in their own music, it's really from the left to the right. And it was Berry Gordy, then, it's been Kenny Gamble, Patti LaBelle, Dionne Warwick, Bon Jovi on the rock side, Wynton Marsalis on the jazz side, Kool and the Gang. So literally every year, it's from the left to the right. And the artists are really varied, everybody from Kim Burrell to Layla Hathaway to Misty Copeland, the dancer, to Nile Rodgers. We just finished a tribute to Kool and the Gang this year. And the Rhythm and Blues Foundation Awards, I've done that. So that was like in one day at the Rhythm and Blues Foundation Awards.
Right.
I got backed up Bill Withers, Shaka Khan, Whispers, Tina Marie. It was just like Wayne Brady. It was like literally there was just a bunch of different people that would come at one time. So a lot of different things I've been able to do. And the choirs, I've been doing a lot of choir stuff as well. Celine Dion, Michael Bublé, of course Patty. I was Teddy's music director before he passed. And there's a young artist who actually is releasing a record tomorrow named Alex Iono. He's 23, and he has literally 1 billion views on YouTube and 5 million streams. And he's doing a record with just piano and gospel choir. And I arranged that, the gospel choir.
Oh, wow.
The record is being released tomorrow.
Wow.
So it literally, my world really takes me from the left to the right to
Mhm.
in between, and I love
Yeah.
it. I never get bored.
Right. So during the pandemic, it really hasn't really affected you no more than not being able to travel. But basically,
Well,
you've been really working.
well, it did affect me initially because, like
Okay.
Henry said, he had a lot of things on the books. I was 2 weeks away from the Berks Jazz Festival was doing a tribute to Stevie Wonder. It
Okay.
was called Stevie at 70, and I was the music director for that, putting this
Wow.
together with about 10 different artists. Um,
Hmm.
and so I was preparing for that show, which was 2 weeks away,
Wow.
and a couple of other things, and everything got canceled. Like my whole year got canceled.
Yeah.
And for a
Yeah.
minute there, you had to kind of, I think for me, I had to kind of get used to the fact, kind of mourn the loss of the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I had to realize too, for me, that the TV was really bringing my energy down. Like, you sometimes you have to cut that off.
Yes.
It was too much negativity.
That's true.
So
That's true.
I went out in the yard and
Hmm.
pulled up weeds and cut the grass. And
Hmm.
I got my mojo back. And then what I realized is that I have a rare opportunity. And that opportunity that I have right now is that there are a lot of things that I have always wanted to do,
Hmm.
but I've never really had the chance to do them. And so what I have been doing since the pandemic started is I have been doing everything that I have always wanted to do. One of those things is write my own Broadway play. And I am literally finishing it next week.
Really?
Yes, I'm finishing next week. And what I did too, since there were actors who were off,
Hmm.
I'm working on this with a director named Steven Stahl. He and I did the Billie Holiday show in New York together.
Right.
But what I did was I
Wow.
knew that the actors were sitting at home. So
Right.
I called 7 actors. I got them copies of the script.
Hmm.
People from, everybody from The Wire to Hamilton to whatever, like all kinds of films. And I said, let's do a table read. We did a table read. I got all of the film, I did all of the video, just a 4-hour session. I paid everybody.
Right.
Got all the video back, and now I'm editing the video together now as essentially a sizzle reel to give off to investors, so that once Broadway and New York opens back up, I've already got a vehicle ready to go.
Wow, unbelievable. And you wrote a play, a Broadway play. That is phenomenal. You do the music. And as far as acting, they were already actors, so you didn't have to really.
No, all I had to do was come up with the script. And Steven Stahl and I, we put it together. But I initially had to come up with the idea, because this is the first time that I've ever done it. Usually, Steve and I have worked on a lot of projects together. And he usually writes everything, and then it comes to me, and then I do the music. But this is the first time I said, hey, listen, I've got the idea. This is what I want to do. And he said, look, you're going to have to write an outline, get all of this together, and I'll help you with the dialogue as it goes along, and put all the music together. And then at that point, I just said, look, I want to, everybody's sitting at home. So we did a Zoom call, I got all that, put it all together. And so I've got something. And the other thing is while I've been sitting at home is I've been working on projects and even just equipment wise, technology wise.
Yeah.
All of the things I wanted to learn, I ordered them, and I'm sitting at home. So it's like you learn those things. And so I've got all new sounds. I've, redid the studio,
Really?
You can look at this as a negative, or you can look at it as a positive.
Right.
For me, I said, you know what? After you get past the initial shock of everything is like out of the way, it's gone. It's just not happened.
Right.
After you get past that, then it's kind of like, okay, we have an opportunity here to create some things that you didn't have time to do before.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know I had Stephen Ford on here on Monday, and he was saying the same thing to the musicians, those that are out of work, from churches especially. And a lot of churches can't afford to pay them, anymore. And some of them are frustrated. And he just told them, you can learn another instrument. There's so many other things that you can do. I heard an artist, a gospel artist, that said that he knew how to make furniture, and that's what he's doing. So now he has a furniture line where he's making like wooden furniture, and it's going over very well. It's something that he always wanted to do and had kind of dibble dabbled with it a little bit, but then he was able to really just go full, out with it to be able to bring it out. So that's what he's doing.
People are sending me sheet music for songs that they've written. People are sending me voice memos over the internet to put that. I've literally this weekend I worked with one artist who came in town. We did 9 songs basically over the weekend.
Really?
Put everything together. I mean, we still have to mix it and tweak things, but,
right?
But it in an interesting kind of way, it has forced us. Here's the thing about it. Look, when it's all said and done, right? Okay, let's think about this for a second. When things get crazy, the people that I'm going to trust to really kind of make things happen are the creative people.
True.
Because, us in music, we're used to things not happening.
Yeah.
Or something we have to change, or we got to. So, let's use our creativity and figure out, okay, how can we make something positive out of this?
Yes.
And that's really the way I've been going about it. And it just so happens that because people are home, they're getting creative. And so a lot of people have been calling me to work on their projects. And it's been really, really cool. In the midst of all of that, I am working on, there are 3 other plays that people have asked me to write the music for.
Wow.
There is a major film that Philadelphian Lee Daniels is working on, and he's asked me to write some music for that Paramount is putting together. I'm really excited about that.
Yes.
So there were a lot of people who are taking this time and saying, let's get creative, let's do some things. And I'm here and I'm ready. So.
And you're ready. And speaking of Lee Daniels, I know you did some films with him. Paperboy. You did some movies with that, and Days of Our Lives, a soap opera.
Yeah, that wasn't with Lee, but I've done some TV stuff, and and it's been a really good relationship. We even worked on The Butler together. Unfortunately, I saw the preview of The Butler, and I heard the music in the preview. And then what happens is when the final film came out, the music that I did got cut. But that's what happens. Yeah, singing in Denitria Champ, and I did 2 songs for The Butler.
Right.
We knew they were in there, and but what happens is they those things get cut. But Lee's one of those people that when you work with him, he doesn't forget you. He had another show for another song that I had written, and he said, "I want to put that song in this show." And now that he called me for his latest film, it's a blessing, because everything is about relationships.
It is. It really is. Yeah. And also, explain about the work that the humanitarian educational projects. It's a lot of them. So explain, how did you get involved with that?
Well, I have always, believed that a lot of, our blessings happen from giving back. And I have always had a soft spot for kids. I love working with kids. And so and seniors, so I would go and, I would work with a organization called Art Reach and go into the seniors community, or sometimes they would send me every place, but mostly into the seniors community, and I would play for the seniors. And I'd get more out of it than probably they did. I was just really happy because, if I would play music, I wouldn't go in there playing soft, stuff. I'd go in there, come on, you're ready to party,
Right.
And it makes them feel like they're 20 again. So I really enjoyed that. But again, kids is really where it is. And I'm working on a really, really major project that actually I'm not at liberty to talk about, but it's going to be really, really big. And it's going to change a lot of what's happening. I think not only in Philadelphia, but I think in around the world. Really, it is. I've been working on it for 4 years, just quietly, and got everything from my trademarks to
Mm-hmm.
all of the stuff in, and but look for it. Look, it's. I could just say it's coming. It's coming, but it's going to be something
Right.
that's major. And
Wow.
but that's where my heart is. My heart kind of is like, what are
Yeah.
what are you doing to make the world better? It's good that you do this, or you may do that, or whatever. But
Right.
what mark are you leaving to make the world better? And that's
And
what
that's
it is.
absolutely,
Yeah.
because you were saying about you like working with young people, and I noticed you giving back to the community. You're helping talented people to produce their music
Hmm.
as well as shows and different things that you were sharing. So
Yeah.
how can someone get in touch with you?
Very easy. You can just go to BillJolly.com. It's my website. And it's just my
Mhm.
name. Jolly's just spelled like it is, like just Bill, like dollar bill, and Jolly, like I'm happy if I got a dollar bill.
Right.
And you can go there and you can just email me and just whatever you want to do. And I really kind of set it up in a lot of ways, because when I first started out, I really wanted to do a lot of production work, but none of the big producers would really work with me. So I
Yeah.
said,
Wow.
I'm going to. And I even had one guy, I remember, I just really just asked him, I said, can I just come and watch you? I just want to
Mhm.
watch you and
Right.
learn. And he said no. And so I vowed that if I ever got to a point where I was going to be successful in any kind of way, that I would never say no to people. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Wow, you're doing some phenomenal things. Like I said about Stephen Ford, Quiet Storms, that you
Well,
produce a lot of material, and you're really helping so many people.
well, thank you very much. And that's really what it is for me. It's like we're all like Steve is as we were talking about before. He's like the benchmark for all of us.
Yeah.
He's what we are. If we could practice for 10 or 20 years, we would come back and maybe we'd be even like half of what Steve is. He's
Right.
but the big names are the things that help us for other people, because in this music business, people want to know who have you worked with and what have you done. I mean, that's the nature of what this business is. But for me, I just love the music, and I love anybody who's passionate about the music, because that's really where it is. And I just like helping. There people come in and they just have a song in their head. That's all they know. It's like it goes like this, and they snap their fingers, and I basically put the whole thing together, from the beginning to the end. You show me the brick, I build the house. I tell you what the house looks like.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
And I guess you never sleep much.
As we were talking earlier, most people would never know. I'm probably in some ways not the typical musician, because I wake up every day at 4:00 in the morning. Like that's probably when most musicians are like getting in.
Right.
But I'm up at 4:00 every day and go out and take my walk and get my head straight
Right.
I just early morning, I guess, early to bed, early to rise.
Right. Exactly.
But when it gets crazy, when my schedule gets really crazy, which it does usually a few times a year, it's not common. It's pretty common for me sometimes to get 3 hours of sleep a night, for like a week or two if I'm on deadline.
Yeah.
Or to go a couple of days with just no sleep at all, because you can't miss the deadline.
Right. Yes. Now, you have a studio at your home, correct?
Yeah, this is it.
This is it. You're in the studio.
Yeah, this is it. This is it. I'm talking to you right from the studio.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Great.
So yeah, it was. I think it's important for a lot of people have their own vehicles now, things that they can do for themselves. But I had always said that it was best for me to be able to control the things that I do, and so literally as I went along, it was important for me to replace those things that went missing. And so your own sound and your own video and your own studio, and even I had video editors who were helping me at times, and we fell out. And so you learn how to edit video. And so I've been shooting concerts, with 4 cameras and 8 cameras for people, and bringing all of that back and editing all of those things together. So it's really just about expanding your mind.
Yeah. Because even, what do you find, is there a tremendous, which do you love better? Maybe I should say which you enjoy better, is doing movies or now that you're going to be getting more into theater, where you've written your own play?
You know, I really, it's almost like one thing helps you appreciate another thing. Like
Yeah.
you know, when I'm in the studio a lot, it
Mm-hmm.
kind of makes me want to play live more. When I'm playing live a lot more, it makes me want to go back into the studio and vice versa. But I really just love it all. Like right now, I'm working on so many different projects right now. I'm working on a Latin project. I'm working, again, the gospel project's being released tomorrow. I'm working on a pop record. I'm working on a kind of like rock and roll / reggae thing with a friend of mine, you know, who is out of Jamaica and New York.
Uh-huh.
We're working on this project. Kelly Dowler is her name, and we're going to be working on this project with Bob Marley's sons as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there are all of these influences and all of these things that you know, it's from country to classical to whatever, and so I'm just grateful to be able to do the thing that I love. That I think that is the blessing about what it is. Music is an up and down business, but I am absolutely grateful to be able to do that, and I don't get bored.
Right, absolutely. Now, have you and Henry done work together?
Yeah, we've worked together. It's been a long time, but it's back when he was starting out. We worked together, and but you know, Henry's done some wonderful things with, you know, with his UGO folks, and you know, the funny thing about it is like, even in our worlds, a lot of people tend to get their groups of folks, and they're busy and they're off doing that thing, and another folk is busy open, they're doing their thing, and they get themselves so busy. Right. A lot of times we don't all the time get a chance to connect in one scenario, but it's a blessing that we're all, you know, able to be able to keep things going and be able to you know.
Most definitely.
Yes.
You know.
And I know, Henry, you had a summer camp. Was it a jazz camp for young people, for kids?
Yes, the Clef Club decided that they were going to do a virtual camp and try to do it. And I got to tell you, I was extremely paranoid about it in the beginning because I didn't know whether or not we were going to be able to keep the children engaged. But it wound up working out well because you were able to go and give assignments to kids to work on their particular tunes, and they were able to mute themselves out. But I'm still able to see each other, and they're still able to see me and to see what else is going on. So it winded up working out very, very well.
Right.
You know, and it's kind of like a 2-week boot camp where you basically pull out things in them that they did not know that they had.
Right. Yeah. And Bill, how important do you feel that is, as far as for young people learning instruments? I know a lot of times they always want to move the music out of the schools. How important to you, and then I'll ask that to Henry, how important to you as far as for young people needing to know or be surrounded around instruments that they can learn that it would help them in life?
Oh, it's extremely important. I mean, it has been proven that kids who study the arts are smarter kids. They attend class more. They tend to be involved in student government. It has been proven that children who are able to experience the arts is a more intelligent, more engaged child. So it baffles me that they take, you know, the arts and particularly music out of the schools. You know, for me, it was a thing that kept me excited about going to school.
Yes, right. And for discipline. And Henry, what do you feel? How do you feel about that?
Well, Alan, like Bill went to Overbrook, which was the music magnet school, and I went to Germantown. And back when we were in school, Bill's got some years on me. You know, every school had a full-time music teacher, and and you know, I might be jaded in my opinion, but I just feel as though that the teachers really cared about the children that were under their guidance. You know what I mean? And I can tell you convincingly that, you know, the years that I was at Germantown pretty much prepared me for my whole career. You know, Bill wound up going to Westchester and getting a degree. I never went to college, but I can tell you right now that, and Bill will tell you his teachers got him ready And he was much so prepared when he went to Westchester to do what he needed to do because we were playing on that level in high school.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
You
right.
know,
That's right.
on the pro level in school.
That's
Our
right.
teachers
Mhm.
got us ready for our professional career. So we were way ahead of the curve
Yeah.
for $0 because my mother
Right.
spent money on private lessons and it was basically
Mhm.
a waste of money because everything that I learned that I have right now, I learned from somebody in the Philadelphia public school system. Believe
That's
that.
right.
Right.
Absolutely. And they were no nonsense. They were no
Yeah.
nonsense.
Really?
George Allen was my teacher and my mentor.
Mhm.
Exactly.
And he was, I respected him.
Mhm.
I really, and I respect him to this day.
Right.
It's really cool, but he was no nonsense. You
Mhm.
came and you played. If you played, we went to All City. All City was.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
If you went to All City, if you played a wrong note, you felt like you were going to be swimming with the fishes in a minute.
Exactly.
It was no joke.
Right.
And I
Exactly.
think they gave us a seriousness about the music. They made us take the music serious, and they told you,
Mhm.
if you're not going to take my music serious, you get out now. You just get
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
It was like, you be the best, you do this well,
Right.
And Cindy,
that's where we are.
Mhm.
the competition back then. I
Mhm.
mean, the competition of musicians
Mm-hmm.
in these high schools. All City
Yeah.
literally was the best of the best because
Mhm.
you had musicians that weren't in All City that were fully capable of playing that music.
Right. Yeah. Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that whole era of just education and absorbing music. I
Right.
wish the world could get back to it. I really do. I
Yeah.
really do
Yeah.
because it saved my life.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I even find even in churches, you could tell those young people that took lessons in school,
Right.
even while they were in church playing, with the band or whatever, you could always tell the ones that were taken because they were more serious about it. They practiced more and they loved when they went to school, being in the band and with their band teachers. They
Mm-hmm.
really enjoyed it. Even those that sang in the choir in school, took choral, you could tell a difference when they came to the church and was singing on the choir because they took it more seriously because they really loved it. And I think it's really vital.
It's discipline. I mean, that's really
It
what it
is
is. I
discipline.
mean,
Yes.
what it taught me was discipline. It taught me. It taught me, like, you learned. First of all, you don't come late.
Right.
Especially if you. I was in the percussion section. I learned that if you were on time, you were actually late.
Yes. Yes.
It teach you that, but
Uh,
and you had to be serious. You had
yeah.
to be disciplined, and you had to be serious, and you had to balance
Mhm.
everything. In college, I had a million classes, but we still had to do
Mhm.
3 hours of marching band 3 times a week and our weekends
Wow.
Right.
for half a credit.
Half a credit.
Right.
But you did it. You did it.
Yeah,
Some person here says music is vital to a child's development. Music actually taps into every area of a child's development. Yes, music saved my life too. Yes,
Hmm.
Darcel
absolutely.
I know Darcel. She's a very talented vocalist as well. And
Really?
absolutely, really,
Yeah.
very, very talented. So
Mhm.
there are many people who agree with us as far as that goes. But the
Yeah.
question is, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
So much talk now
Absolutely.
about whether they're even going to be going back to school or not. So
Right.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So as we close tonight, gentlemen, what could you say? What would you like to say to people, musicians that are watching, or those now that they're home and they have a lot of time? What could you say, to encourage them, those musicians that may be watching or that will be watching the replay later?
Well, it's funny for me. Once I knew that, for the most part, it's guaranteed that somewhere until the middle of 2000 and 2021, so
Hmm.
much of my work is based on a live perspective. Being in
Yeah.
front of people.
Yeah.
That wasn't going to happen. I decided that I was going to take some time and get into the trumpet because when you become a professional musician, the perspective of continuing your learning of your craft
Yeah.
kind of gets, for me, I can't speak for anybody else. There's some
Hmm.
people who are able to keep that well balanced. You know, um, it kind of became a thing where it was always about the business, about where the
Yeah.
next gig was going to come from, and how I was going to heighten the visibility of the band, and so forth and so
Right.
on, and where the work was going to come from. And
Right.
now, I started 3 or 4 weeks ago, uh, lessons, literally,
Yeah.
from a trumpet player from Cuba, because I've just always had a respect for Cuban and Latin
Mhm.
flavored trumpet players.
Yeah.
And I did, and I did some investigating from some friends of mine, and I
Mhm.
started studying with this guy. And you think that you understand what you do, what people
Right.
pay you to do.
Right.
And literally within 15 to 20 minutes of my first lesson, I realized that I knew nothing. That
Yeah.
I had basically been put in deep water, and I taught myself how to survive, but I
Yeah.
never learned how to swim. So
Mm.
now I am getting into this horn, and so much of it is a mental thing, about being a
Yeah.
musician.
Mhm.
It's not, we could call up in the technique of it,
Right.
you know,
Mhm.
and I mean, I'm doing relaxation techniques and yoga techniques, and I'm a
Mhm.
hyper high strung guy. So now everything's about being mellow, and now it's transferring into other areas of my life. And,
Yeah.
and I'm telling you, this pandemic is definitely going to create some growth in a
I
lot of
think
people
so. Yeah.
that they did not know.
Mhm.
Sure.
Yeah.
And things are going to wind up coming out in people, and gifts are going to be shown from people that they never knew they had, and the world, is
We'll
going to
see.
really be able to
Yeah.
enjoy.
Yeah. Right. Bill.
Yeah, Henry made some very great points.
Yes, he did.
I think for me, in many ways, as crazy as this pandemic is,
Mhm.
I kind of keep my mind in this almost kind of pandemic mode every year. In other words, I start each year and say to myself, okay, what haven't I done? What has changed in the world? What do I feel like I'd like to accomplish? And I
Mhm.
write a list of goals down for the year that
Mhm.
I'm going to do. The beginning of last year started out
Mhm.
with me chasing one of my biggest fears, which was jumping out of an airplane. So I jumped out of an airplane at the beginning of last year.
Really? Wow. That was on your bucket list, right?
But that
Wow.
was the end of. I mean, I had a bucket list. My bucket list was to do the three things I was scared of the most, which was jump out of an airplane, go scuba diving. Well, four things: swim with sharks without a cage, and go on the world's largest zip line, which was in Puerto Rico. And so I did all
Okay.
four of those things, which were things that I was challenging myself to do,
Mhm.
that I
Right.
was actually afraid of. And the
Mhm.
reason I'm bringing that up is that that's really where we are right now. It really is one of those situations where, look, this is really a scary time. We don't know what's coming,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but we
Right.
have to really face our fears and say, oh, you
Mhm.
know what? I'm going to just jump anyway,
Right.
and I'm going to create something. And nothing's here, but let's just create something that's not here.
Mhm.
Right.
And that in a lot of ways is how we grow
Right.
from these things happening like this, and us as creative people just doing what we naturally God has gifted us to do, which is to be
That's
creative.
right.
Let's create something.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm sure, like Henry was saying, once this pandemic is over, it's going to people are going to come out new and fresh. I believe so.
Yes.
With whether it's instruments,
Yes.
whatever, writing a book, becoming an author, or creating plays or films and different things, and just have a new lease on life. Because with all this time that we have, it's vital that we stay connected to God, read His Word,
Right.
spend time with Him. You know, um, I know on Sundays I get to travel to without leaving my home to see so many church services that some places I always wanted to see and never would be able to
Right.
do.
Yeah.
Because I'm
Right.
only playing on Sundays, but being able
Hmm.
to see different things, music. There's a lot of musicians that are doing concerts. There's a lot of artists that's doing virtual concerts. Zoom has really taken over our lives. But I just thank God for what this time has meant. It's sad that, so many have lost family members and loved ones, through
Yes.
this COVID-19. But also those that remain, God has assigned us to do different things, and we are to do them. And that's really the
Right.
bottom line,
Right.
to ask him, what am I supposed to do next? And just
Mm-hmm.
be adventurous, be creative, stay under his watch and pray and ask him and just begin to do it. A lot of times we say what we want to do, just do it. So that's what we have to do. But I want to thank you two gentlemen for being my guests on tonight. I've enjoyed this. Bill, I learned some things about you that I didn't really know. And Henry, you also. And I just thank God you're two phenomenal musicians and humble. And I appreciate your time taken with me and my show, Cindy, Barber, Real Talk. And I just appreciate it. And tonight we're live on Facebook and YouTube. So anybody can watch it. It'll be there forever and ever and ever. But I want to thank those that are here tonight to be supportive, that have really been supporting me, my family and friends that have supported me with this. And I want to also announce that on this coming Monday, which is July 27th, I will have a panel discussion with some artists on Monday at 8 o'clock. And the title of the topic is Christian Contemporary Music and its dominance in the Black church. So that's going to be quite exciting. So I look forward to that. I want everybody to join me and to be a part of that. So again, thank you, gentlemen, and thank everyone for watching. And I want you all to have a great week and a great weekend. And hopefully we will see you on Monday. God bless you.
God bless.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.